My name is Sama Ahmed, and I will be interviewing Tooba Qaiser. She is a clinical psychologist in her own right. She is the founder and I think the only person who works on inclusivity in education and vocalizing for children's rights in that regard. Her organization's name is Neurodiversity. And Tooba, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, thank you for having me, first of all. And I'm very glad that people are talking about this, because this is something that will lead to the main goal that we all are working towards. And I just want to say, yeah, unfortunately, I'm the only one who's talking about neurodiversity in Pakistan, and that I got to know when I started working, that I'm the only advocate that is talking about neurodiversity, not just about a particular learning disorder or a particular neurological changes and differences. So I'm glad that I took the initiative, and as my name organization, Team Neurodiversity, we are there to support and give parents the right information so that they can utilize that and help their children to give them the right and cater them with the right needs that they require.
So you just right now mentioned that you are the only organization and the first organization, if I'm correct. What were the challenges of
that? The biggest challenge is that when you start something which is very common in the other countries, but you start something, you need to define that. You need to define it. You need to define it in a way which is easier for your audience to understand, and your audience to not feel threatened, rather than accept the concept, which was very challenging at the beginning. It still is, but Alhamdulillah, in almost 1.5 years, I have learned that it's not that the initial stage is going to be the main challenge. Every step has a different challenge to it. And trust me, when I brought that neurodiversity logic into it, and I wanted different people to join me on my team, and they all are from the same field, like child psychology and working with children. And the first question they asked me, what is neurodiversity? So that is what shocked me, that people who are in this field also don't know what neurodiversity is. And that is where my journey began, that I need to talk about this. I need to say this loud enough so everyone, not just people who are having children who are different, but every parent should know what neurodiversity means, because we all are going to benefit from it.
So you are mentioning neurodiversity. Could you just give a definition of what is neurodiverse? Essentially, what is the concept of neurodiverse?
If we talk about like the scientific logic to it, neurodiversity means that all different type of variations, genetic, neurological, those children, people are just a diversity of human nature. It's not that they should be sidelined. It should not that they should be categorized. They are part of our community, and they have all the rights that we have, and they deserve it. The normal community try to take that away from them. And neurodiversity is something that will bring those people together and show the community that how we can benefit from them. It's not that they will benefit from us. We can benefit from them as well. So that is what neurodiversity means. But when I started in Pakistan, everybody asked me, even parents didn't know. So the only example that I used to bring it up so that parents samajh sake was about, like, if we have studied about different animals, and if we see a snake doesn't have legs. It doesn't have any limbs. But we have never heard that snake is a disabled animal or a different. We only knew that the snake is a different animal. It's made that way. Still can survive. Is still a very dangerous animal. Have a very good survival instincts. Can have a family. Can produce and reproduce. All of that and they're part of this nature. They balance the jungle. If I say that.
Agreed.
So that is what neurodiversity is. We just need to look at a person the way they are being made. Not like that we need to categorize that if you're different from me, you're wrong. That is what I wanted to bring in on the plate in Pakistan, that we need to change this.
So essentially, you're working on the inclusivity aspect of
Yes.
neurodiverse children or
Yes.
neurodiverse people in general.
I think inclusion is not just for neurodiverse children, it's for everyone. Like if I am working in a company, in an organization, or if let me start with that, if I'm in a school and on the group that I have in school, have a child who has autism, have a child who has ADHD, and many other different children, they are going to bring so much on the table that we won't be able to bring, and we will bring something that they won't be bringing in. So as a group, we will have so many different areas that someone will be good at and some won't, and we will benefit from that difference. And same scenario in an organization. If I work at a company and where the employees are not hired by asking them, fill in this medical questionnaire and just let us know if you have any problem.
Yeah.
And when they get to identify that, yes, we were diagnosed, or yes, we had this, or, and they are then not like prioritized in the list because of the diagnosis, but they don't understand that in an organization, that inclusivity will benefit the organization on so many levels. And now I think there are different organizations that have started working towards it. And they are seeing through researchers that they are going to benefit the company and they're going to bring the ideas that nobody else can.
Great. So when we talk about neurodiversity, what comes under the umbrella when we talk about neurodiverse children? Because as I'm posing this question, I explain that due to my experience, I've always noticed that children who might have autism and children who have Down syndrome or any other neurological concerns, they're all bunched together. So like, how do you work in educating the differences in that, and what are the challenges that present?
To be honest, I would like to say that in neurodiversity under an umbrella, we all come in.
Mm-hmm.
We all, I believe that we are different from one another and we have different neurological makeup. That's why we behave differently. Sometimes we think differently. And that is what I think is the beauty of humanity, that we work with the differences. And I want to believe we all are under the umbrella, but that is what I want to work towards, that we should not put some people under the umbrella. It's everybody, because we all are going to benefit. But neurodiversity is more of with the, I don't want to use the word disorders, but those have neurological changes to it, like brain development and all. That is what comes mostly under neurodiversity. It's not about the syndrome. Syndrome is something that is linked to genes and genetic makeup. So that is different. But I work in a way that I want everyone to feel safe with one another. So I want to include even myself under the umbrella of neurodiversity.
I think that's a great way of describing it, because I think the easiest way of understanding that is if we create an us and them, it kind of defeats the purpose of the inclusive aspect of it. So
absolutely,
I understand your reasoning behind also putting the mainstreams into the neurodiverse umbrella. So now, if we can veer a little bit into the relationship aspects of it, what is a parent-child relationship? What does a parent-child relationship look like for a neurodiverse household?
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful journey. Very different. It's like I was given a manual of a Ford, but my child turned out a Ferrari. But still a very good sports car, right?
Yeah, great car.
So that is what it is. And we are always, I'll just start with one thing that Isama, in our upbringing, we are always put a bad light on differences. We always put bad light on, oh, you are so different from me. Even in relationships, They break up. People break up because they feel that you are changing, you are different. We are not. We are conditioned not to change for others, but we are also changing, right? We don't see that, and we don't admire the changes, because that's what's the beauty of aging. That's what's the beauty of thinking. In Urdu, we say ashraful makhlukat. Why? Because we have that ability to think and rationalize, and that is what changes us, and that is what is the beauty of human is. But हम लोगों को सिखाया नहीं जाता, you know what, that we need to accommodate and understand and listen to the changes.
But
right?
don't you think that asking a kid not to change in itself is changing them too, from some aspects?
Yeah, but that is wrong. It's like we are
it's
molding them into
it's the
something.
wrong change.
Yeah,
But
we are
that's the
molding
irony.
in not just children who are under the neurodiverse, but even neurotypical. The education system is molding them into something that they are not born to do that, you know. I always wanted my child to be a creative monster. Like I want my child to learn from wind and water, not with everything, you know, like lakeer ki fakir wale education system. I never wanted that. And alhamdulillah, because my son got showed me that this is not important anymore. And I'm glad that he opened my eyes, that I already knew that the education system has a lot of bad aspects to it. And now I'm very confident because of my son. So I wanted to start that it's a very different journey, but it's beautiful. Why? Because I'm very proud to say that I am the things that my son has learned from me is like 10%, and I have learned 90% from him. And that is what the give and take is in this relationship, that you need to understand them the way they are, and not just with neurodiverse children, but any children. Let them know that the how beautiful they are the way they are, and then start working towards it. Don't mold them. That, like you said, that's exactly what we do in parenting. We try to mold them in a way that we think is right, the society thinks is right, and then we don't, and then we start breaking the relationship and the trust we have with our children, and we don't admire the changes anymore, you know. And that is what started. I think start is that you get this shock that your child is different, and it is being treated in a way that everybody apologizes to you like it's a bad thing, you know. Oh, your child is different, I'm so sorry, it must be difficult. And that is where it's began, and it affected me. Of course it affected me, and started affecting my relationship with my child. And it's been a long journey there of the realization and getting over the guilt, you know, because over here we are women especially are conditioned to take the blame. And then that grief process of, it's like someone has taken away the child I had and given me someone else, you know, the grief process, the guilt process. But that is what not every parent can come out of. I could, because of the opportunities I had, the rationalization I could, because I had a psychology background. But that is where I felt, okay, what if I wasn't able to come out? What would have happened? Will my child be able to trust me? Will my child be able to progress the way he is? And then I started working towards uh, awareness that, you know what, I need to share this. I need to tell my story. So it's a very difficult relationship, because you, on many areas, you won't be able to be sure that you are able to cater your child needs, is exactly this is what he or she wants. Or you know, choti choti cheezein hoti hain, that if you got to know that he or she is asking for something and you gave them the right thing, it's a huge thing, it's a huge success. And it's very different. Like meri jo khushiyan hain, parents get very like, they raise eyebrows to me. Aap is baat pe khush ho rahi hain? And I'm like, you should be happy too. But you know, we just have this unrealistic expectations to our children, that unless or until they don't reach this, they don't deserve our respect, they don't deserve our love. And because of that, we neglect the small successes and happiness that they are providing us in this journey. And that is what I'm able to see now and cherish. And that is what has strengthened our relationship. But I feel like if I wasn't able to come over it, my own emotions, I would have had a very difficult relationship with my child. Not because of him, because of myself.
Can you elaborate on that? Because yes, I think I hear you when you said that your psychology background kind of gave you a different perspective on that. But can you also shine a light on the perspective of the parents who did not have your enlightenment?
Yeah. And to be honest, when I got to know about my son's diagnosis, I was just a normal mother. Being a psychologist didn't help me. Like, for instance, if a doctor's children get cancer, it's ऐसा मुझे फील किया कराया जा रहा था कि you are a psychologist and still your child got autism. And I was like, no, you are going that's very different. And that is where I had to learn how to keep my psychologist, where to keep my psychologist asleep and when to bring it out. Because if I will be a psychologist all the time, I won't be able to understand him the way a mother should. And he needed that. And then when...
No, I think that's very important that you said that, keep the psychologist separate and keep the human separate, because this is a challenge that all of us in the psychology community face from people outside and also within our community, that if we're under distress, it is just like, oh, you can't be under distress because
exactly.
You're not supposed to be under distress. I think the example I used with somebody was that if a heart surgeon is having a heart attack, do they open their own chest and start operating on themselves? No, they go to somebody. They're taken to somebody.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I completely understand, and it is a problem. It is a genuine problem. But coming back to that point, okay, what does a parent actually like? What is like? Could you talk about that societal aspect? What that did to the parent-child?
It's again, it's like sometimes parents are stuck at like a repetitive cycle. First, it's denial that they don't want to accept. They can't, and in our eyes, our children are perfect. That's a big burden on them. First of all, don't try to make them perfect. When we are not perfect, how can they be? And they're just born. They are born right now. They're like 2 years old, 1 year old. They don't even they know what to do with their lives, and you think that they're perfect. And so denial, of course. How dare you say that about my child? And doing doctor shopping with it, okay, going, and if you have money, going abroad and getting it checked. Okay, is it true? Is it really true? And you know what? Uske saath bhi aisa hua tha. Don't worry. Just put him in a mainstream school. वो दूसरों को normal बच्चों को देखेगा, normal हो जाएगा. Things like that. तो वो एक denial aspect strong होता जाता है with time, when you are not accepting about your child's diagnosis and your child needs, whatever the child needs are. So because of that denial, you can understand the emotional burden that the parents have, that they are not letting the acceptance come in at all. And it's like heavy chest. It's like exhausted mind all the time, that war that is inside our head, that can't be true. But you know what? This is what he's doing. Maybe. No. That's not true. That's this constant war, and it exhausts us. And in the end, we don't have energy left to hear our children, to listen to them, to look at them in a neutral way. Not as a parent, not as a psychologist, not in any other way, just neutrally, that, you know what, there are certain signs and I need to work towards it. It doesn't come naturally, because we in this society, in this culture especially, we are not allowed to look at a situation neutrally. We are very biased people. We are raised in a way that we need to be biased. We don't, if someone is neutral, we say how diplomatic you are. It's like, it's a bad thing. We are not allowed to look in the situation. And when it comes to a parent, it's not about your child not being the perfect child. It's about your parenting has been, that you are not the perfect parent, because you couldn't uh, give birth to this perfect little human being. And then that's this constant war that creates that big barrier, big gap between you and your child. And then there's this one day that your child stops trusting you.
Yeah.
And love doesn't matter if they are not able to trust. Of course, they love you because you are there, you are the blood relation they have, you are the home they have. But if they do not trust you, they are not going to progress. And that is what I see when I take my sons to sessions. That's what I see in different parents. When like small things, that if I see a child in a session and the therapist is saying something to the child and the child is not responding, the mother is screaming, करो ना जैसे कह रही हैं, करो चलो जल्दी जल्दी करके दिखाओ. It's like we are not there. We are there, but we are not there. And that is the biggest disaster we can do to our parent-child relationship. Being there and not being there.
So from what I've been able to understand is that these parents are kind of stuck in a grief cycle, but they haven't decided to accept it, because
because they're trying to cure it.
Yeah, they're just it's just
trying to resolve something, a problem which is not a problem. They're trying to cure something which is not a disease.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they are being exhausted and they put the blame on the child that he or she is not putting in an effort. हम तो जा रहे हैं लेके, we are putting effort, हम पैसा लगा रहे हैं, we have taken the child to the most expensive therapist in Pakistan, but still there is no result. Yeah. And you want to say something?
Yeah, no, but that also brings up the question that, if this is happening with the neurodiverse children, or, children that are not mainstream, just imagine, like, when you talked about that mother who felt frustrated that, her child isn't able to, and when you told me, my mind immediately came up with the word perform. So, like, that's what every parent wants.
Every child is going through. Yeah.
Every child is going through that the parents' frustration is, why can't they perform? I think that's the main.
Why is it 90%? Why isn't the 100%? That is what I said in the beginning, that it's like a race our children are running in, and they don't even know why they are running. What are they running for? Why they want to win? Even parents don't know, because they want to compare with someone else. They want to show it off. Otherwise, if they look at the child's happiness, what's more important?
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, whenever I talk to parents whose kids are experiencing mental health issues, I like to point it out to them that you have to realize that, yes, you're a parent, but you're also a traumatized child. You are bringing that trauma into play as a parent.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it makes sense, because our society also has this very lovely saying called "miti bao." Miti bao. Like, just hide it. Just hide it. Just forget it. Hide it. And that performance aspect, I feel like people will be, and this is completely, it's not the right thought, but it's just a thought that, thinking from their perspective, that I think they'll be fine with, any kind of problem as long as the person performs in public.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we don't care what is going on behind band darwaza piche jo ho raha hai, hame koi fark nahi padta. But as long as you're able to perform in this window of, the public, we're fine. We'll be perfectly fine with you.
How sad is it? How sad.
Yeah, it's
haunting.
It is. It's really. So that kind of brings me to that point. What are the society's dynamics in this relationship then? Because, if we are to perform, if we are to bring a facade, to the societal aspect, how much does society contribute? Like you mentioned, you had your child, you were a mother. In your mind, you're a mother, but everybody in your surrounding is telling you, no, you're an autism mother. You're not a mother. You're an autism mother. So, like, what is that relationship like?
It's like initially, even I felt that. I think every parent's will. It's like society is like the puppet master for us and my child. They are like handling us, and they are like handling my emotions and parents' emotions, that even if I want to feel good about it, they will not let me, and being parent of a neurodiverse children, oh my God, the society. I can't even tell you what the experience have been, because now keep that war in mind, that there's a constant war already,
of course,
inside my head. And then when I meet people, they are like apologizing to me about the bad life that I have now ahead of me, and the challenges that are ahead of me, and how badly I am going to perform on those challenges with my son, because they already know that I'm going to perform badly, and there's no hope, and there is no way out of it, and कोई दवाई है, कोई इलाज है, they incept that you need to cure this, because you need to portray to us that you are perfect and your child is perfect too. So, and that constant pressure, like I remember, and I'm not saying about just any other relative or stranger, even your family members play a role in that. Like I remember when I got to know about my son's diagnosis, he was around 2.8, and early intervention starts around 1.5. And I don't know if I was not accepting at the time, or was it my denial that I was not understanding the signs. But I remember when I got to know the diagnosis, and the first thing when I told to my family, their reaction, oh my God, it's like blame game. You should have known. Why? How could you not know? And why have you delayed? And now what will you do? And I am in a position that I'm being haunted by the word autism. And I don't know. My psychologist was dead at the time. I don't know what autism means. I don't know what this child is who is with me right now, who has been labeled on his forehead that he's autistic. Where I went for the assessment, they were like, they tattooed on his head. I felt like that, and then on my head, the way they disclosed the information, and then when I disclosed the information to the family and their reaction, like, oh God, I was traumatized. I was broken already, and then I was shattered, because the people I wanted to bring me together just put the hammer more on me, and I was all shattered. And it's been a very and then after that it took me a long time to bring myself back on the horse, so that I'm able to understand my son. मेरा बेटा तो बहुत दूर रह गया. Now it's my problem. असल तो वो बच्चा है जिसके साथ मुझे काम करना है, उसकी अब मुझे नीड्स को केटर करना है. Nobody was talking about it. Everybody told me how I am the person who has done something wrong. And it's like either my past guna that has brought me this diagnosis, or is my faith not being more like faith towards Allah, all of that haunting
the Muslim guilt, the
Muslim guilt. And नमाज पढ़ पे होती तो मुस्तकिल तो ऐसा नहीं होता, बस अब अल्लाह से गिड़गिड़ा के मांगो, all of those, like I've done something wrong. And then there was no one who would have said, what, Tuba, do you need a hug? Let's just sit together. What I wanted was that someone would have hugged me, hold my hands, and asked me, Tuba, okay, now we know the problem. Let's get to the solution. What do you think? What should we do? What is the plan? Let's think about it. Let's just write it down. Let's start planning. I can do this for you. You can do this, all of that. And there was no one to talk to me about it, and the only person who brought me out of it was my own son, without even speaking, without even, by his presence. The presence, and he, I remember I was crying. It was such a bad night. I was looking for therapists, and I didn't know what to do. Either they were very far away, either I was not liking them, either they were too expensive. And I was like, and I have to keep my job. I cannot lose the job. All the good therapists are in the morning. There's so much. And and these so much papers in my hand because I used to research, and then the diagnostic paper, and then all the charges paper. And I was just sitting and crying. And my son and came beside me, and he just looked at me in a way, and I could see in his eyes that he's saying, I am going to do it. Just have faith in me. Don't get into this. Just believe in me. And then there was no looking back at the way I was looking. And then everything, like my parents, my in-laws, somewhere even my husband was not important enough, because now I knew that, you know what, oh, you are right. I need to focus on you. Why I'm focusing on myself? Why I'm focusing on the other people and making them happy from, like a constant pressure. I have to make the society happy. I have to make the neighbors happy. I have to make my in-laws happy. It's about you. And I need to keep that about you.
Yeah.
And then after, sorry.
No, I understand. I mean, that sounds, there's so many aspects of this that,
So you know what, Usama, it was like from the beginning, the society, if I play the role of a society, if I will start from the scratch, the moment I went to take the diagnostic report, the person who was giving to me should have been counseling training, how to disclose information.
Sensitized.
Yeah, how to disclose an information, how to be comfortable in disclosing the information, not about, okay, you know what, making a sad face. I remember the person who gave me the information was feeling guilty to tell me about it. And that was the beginning. They should have given me the information like it was a medal. Like now I wear my son's autism like a medal and I roam around like that. It's like a crown to me. They should have kept it like a crown on my head. So I would have felt that, you know what, it's an honor. And I am the one who's going to see the world differently now. This is what should have been in that small room. But it wasn't like that. So from एक तो वो अगर मैं उधर से ऐसे निकलती कि I would have known and gotten a perspective कि what to do and knowledge about. और अगर मैं निकलती और फिर मैं घर आती और मैं घर में ये बताती, they would have holded me. अच्छा Tooba, let's plan. कोई बात नहीं, you know. ऐसा तो you know what, I've heard about this there. You know, चलो उससे मिल के बात करते हैं. मुझे पता है उसके बच्चे के साथ भी था. चलो उनसे पूछते हैं what they did. You know, तुम उन लोगों से मिलो who are in the struggle. They will help you out. You know, अगर उस वक्त वो लोग मेरे लिए mentally present होते. And then coming to social circle, colleagues, friends, all telling me, okay, you're going to get through this. Don't worry. You have a very strong personality. You are a strong mother. You have a strong son. Everything will work out. And if someone would have done to me at that time, I wouldn't have got into that circle of guilt and grief and denial. I would have been much stronger from the beginning. But it wasn't like that. It was now from the beginning, instead of the crown, they were giving me the diagnosis like a gali, that they feel sorry that now this is what your son had. And then coming to home and getting all of this negativity, colleagues being sorry, you know, all that got me stuck into that cycle, which I can't even tell you how exhausting it was. And there was only one person who actually congratulated me when I told him about that. You know what, congratulations, now you know about it. Now what's your plan is. And that was the only one person who asked me, told me that. And he congratulated me and I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's that? Like, अब हर कोई मुझसे सॉरी कर रहा है, हर कोई मुझ पे तरस खा रहा है, आप मुझसे congratulation कह रहे हैं. Then I asked him, why are you congratulating me? I'm just telling you why is this a bad thing? I don't understand. Why are you crying? Why are you sad? Now you know. Now explore this, explore the new world.
Yeah.
And so there are people like that too, but unfortunately not enough.
Yeah, no, that I agree with you. I mean, when I think us as people, we don't want the diagnosis. We're like, no, because we don't want to veer into the unknown. We want the predictability aspect.
Yes. Yes.
Very much, very much. And
100%.
yes, and what I've understood from your experience is that एक side पे एक victim narrative दिया जा रहा है, you know, oh, you're the poor mother, and उधर से ही it's being used to fuel victim blaming. Okay, like तुम्हारी गलती है, so like that, and also, I mean, now that you're in this phase of your life, you know, now that you're beyond it, did the performance that the society gave you was just not like, what is going on with you guys? Like, you guys are like, melodrama is on 100 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, I think when I started working for neurodiversity, and because by the time I started, I had enough knowledge, right information, and right people to connect other parents to. And I knew what the next step should be. So I wanted the other parents to not get into the cycle, talk to me. I'll be the guidance, and I'll, connect you with the right people instead of me going to the wrong people mostly and then getting to the right people. So I'll just connect them through. And when and I've been very open about it. शुरू में तो ये भी बोला जाता था ना कि आप जरूरत है बताने की, छोड़ो मत बताओ छुपाओ. It's like that thing, but I wasn't ready. I was like, no, because if I am going to hide it, my son will know that I'm ashamed of that, and then he will hide it, and then his self-esteem is going to be zero, and I don't want that. And even right now, till now, if you meet Zuren any day, you will see that he's like the king of his world. Why? Because even someone asked me, Tooba, why is he behaving this way? I talk to them about autism and Zuren in front of him, so that when he grows up, he knows how to tell people about himself in a good way, in a proud way. So now I don't feel offended if someone asks me or points something. I feel like it's an opportunity to let them know and show the beautiful side of autism. And then they will tell 2 more people, and 2 more people will tell 4 people. So up to ye ho gaya ki now I have talked about so much that nobody has the guts to come and point something out, because they know that Tooba is going to start, talking about it. Like, we can't make her feel bad anymore. Oh no.
Oh no.
They have failed this. Oh shoot, we are not able to know, make her feel bad anymore. So they have stopped asking. And stop pointing out, because now I'm so happy with my son that everybody's like, let's find another target.
She's happy. We can't.
Oh no.
That part just genuinely. Whenever I think about them,
that is so true. Trust me, so true. And I can see that on their face. That when they ask me something and I reply them that, you know what, and I reply them with so much happiness that they don't ask me any other question, because they wanted me to feel bad and okay, you know what, ye hua hai. And I wasn't. I'm like, you know what, my son has autism. Like, he got an A grade in my eyes, and they're like, oh, okay.
I swear. Like, and also, by the way, you as a mother, like you as a South Asian mother, let's put aside the autism for me. You're working on your son's confidence. I feel like that also needs to be applauded as a parent, because as a South Asian parent, you're not supposed to work on your confidence. You're supposed to make they're not worthy of the confidence.
I need to shatter the self-confidence and the self-esteem. That's my job as a mother.
And in society's eyes, you're not doing a good job. I mean, that part.
Oh no, I'm the black sheep. I've heard that.
Oh yeah.
I've always been the one who will ask or tell people that, you know what, this is something wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like looked upon that, how dare you point out the wrong thing? Yeah. And since my childhood, I have been that person.
I can relate to that. I think that's why we're in this field. I feel like that's why we're in this field.
True.
That we asked the forbidden question, why? I mean, उर्दू का एक मुहावरा है, क्यों से लड़ाई होती है. And I was like, Q? And my response to that was Q. Like, yeah, it's completely, changes it. But so, society, let's talk about the society of children. Okay, now let's go towards school. That
Yeah.
part.
Oh.
Yeah, that part. I think in my experience of working with schools, I would love to know your perspective. I mean, but honestly, in my experience, if they cannot work for if the system doesn't work for the mainstream child, how would it work for? Do you know what I mean? Like, how would it work for a child with like any minuscule kind of a difference?
Yeah. Like I'm in the education system too. And being the teacher, when my students transit from one class to the other, and they come to my class from a class whose teacher does not allow them to think out of the box, and then they come to my psychology class where they need to think out of the box, it's like a huge transition that they are confused.
Yeah.
Students in this education system are confused.
Mm.
They are getting the knowledge to get the grade rather than the application in the real life.
Yeah.
We are not preparing our children for the jungle out there. And when they go out, what happens? They start losing it.
Yeah.
And that is what the reason, even the toppers have like shattered when they left college and left the country and have gone abroad. Why? Because we are not preparing them for the real life. And,
also providing for them.
Yeah,
not just
true.
Providing for them too. Because, I mean, you know this, I know this, there's so many educational opportunities in Pakistan, but not a lot of practical educational opportunities. So I can't even imagine what that lens looks like for a neurodiverse parent.
It's even scarier than any other children. It's scarier. Why? Because we are not letting our neurotypical children to think out of the box, and children who are neurodiverse, who are already thinking out of the box, we are like pressing them inside the box. Go inside the box. Go inside the box. And they are being born because our community need to think out of the box. They will help us to look the world in a different way, but we are not allowing them. We are not accepting that. We feel threatened. Teachers feel threatened if a child knows more than them. Teachers feel threatened if the child challenges a question, or the teacher feels bad when they don't know what the answer is of a question. And then they, if there have been many instances when my children have asked me something which I was not sure, I immediately said, you know what, this is a very good question. I never thought about it. Let me research and I'll get back to you. How easy is that?
Yeah.
Rather than, stop asking these stupid questions in my class. Go and study yourself. हम question करने की का इजाजत नहीं देते, not just in school, even at home.
Yeah.
And now think about a child who has been raised in a family who treat their servants bad. They discriminate them. They are discriminating children and families who are not that well off. They wear not branded clothes, so we can't sit and talk to them. You know what? Don't spend telling your children, don't go and play with their children because they are, not disciplined enough or in any whatever. So with that mindset, the child goes to school. So they already know, the child knows that if there is a maid or helper in the school, you need to look down upon them.
Yeah.
They already know that if a child is wearing old uniforms, they are poor. We can't be friends with them. If you see a child not sitting in class and having hyperactivity, they are weird. You can't talk to them. So they are conditioned to feel that way and take that thinking in school. And that is where they will learn to discriminate and look down upon people who are not like them. And I'm talking about a neurotypical child.
Yeah.
Now, just think that they are in an inclusive school and there is an autistic child or an ADHD child sitting beside them. an autistic child or an ADHD child is allowed to have a fidget spinner, for example, so that they can calm themselves down. Or an autistic child to allow to have a chewy tube in Montessori, so because they can calm themselves down. Can you imagine their child be treating respectfully?
No.
Not at all.
No.
If they come and tell their mothers that, you know what, mom, there was a child doing this, the mother is going to call school.
Mm.
How are you letting my child sit in a class with someone who is different? And I'm being very respectful with the words. They are not going to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, like you said, like you mentioned, a kid with ADHD, like they're allowed to have a fidget spinner. Do you not remember that when fidget spinners first came in, they made them into a trend just because
everybody wanted it.
Everybody wanted one. And that puts into perspective so much कि like आपको सुकून नहीं है कि किसी को कुछ मिल रहा है that accommodates them. You're like, no, I don't care about that. I want that. मेरा क्या?
Just I'll give you an example. The other day there were some people at our place, and my son was watching cartoon, and he was pressing a ball. Like he has this
stress ball. Stress ball.
Yeah. And he has this sensory need to press it, and I give it to him so that he can sit down and watch TV. And they came and they asked me, why is he pressing the ball like that and taking it in his mouth and chewing it, and while asking me this question, his leg was shaking. There are some people who, and I asked them, and I told them, what you are doing right now is exactly what he is doing. You are trying to calm your body down with this, and that's your sensory need, and this is what he's doing. So we all do so. We flicker our pen in exam room. If you go into an exam room, students are shaking their leg, flicking their pen, clicking their pen all the time. Yeah. What is that? Because they're thinking, they're trying to calm themselves down. These are different ways that we have learned, coped, that this is the way I can calm myself down. Listening to music, all of that. This all is sensory. But when they do it, it's
highlighted. It's highlighted to a different. Yeah.
But you do that too. हर कोई करता है, so this is what I want to everybody to see. They are not different. They are just like us.
Yeah.
It's just that you are a different person. Your wife is a different person. Your child is a different person. Just like that, every neurodiverse children is different from one another.
I think the easiest way somebody explained it to me was, and I still use this, whenever somebody asks me about, neurodiverse child, I'm like, okay, how do you deal with somebody, like if you speak English and that person speaks, let's say, Chinese, Mandarin, that's literally it. And so you have to find a way to learn the language. And it's so much more easier to communicate with them when with each other, to be honest, when you learn each other's languages. And I think that, and as your experience shows, it opens up a completely new world.
Of course. Yeah, and a beautiful one, better than ours.
Exactly, 100%. I mean,
and this is what I'm the most thankful about, that because of him, I'm able to see things so differently. I'm much of a calmer person. I'm much of a I understand gratitude, what gratitude means. Mm-hmm. I understand what grounded means, and that is what my son has taught me. And I'm glad. I don't know if I'm chosen to be his mother or he has been chosen for being my son to guide me through. Yeah. And I think I love that. And I'm very thankful.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. By the way, speaking of the stimulating behaviors, I think the term is called stimming. I actually know someone whose kid does stimming, and they have this very cute way of doing it when they're really excited and energetic. Just vibrate their body with a smile. I found it very. I know it's very cute, but
very cute,
yeah. But that person's parent very brought up the fact that my son kids. Why is he doing that? And I was just like, Yeah, like you said, like you pointed out, that person was shaking their leg. I actually also pointed out, I was like, you're saying this while you are flicking your wrist like this. Like, masla kya uska? And I'm like, just notice this part. Just
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, accommodation नहीं है, questioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not questioning to accommodate, questioning to discriminate. That is what I don't understand. That if they are someone is asking me to because they're curious to know about my son, no, they're asking me to make me feel bad and to discriminate my child. That is what is wrong.
Yeah, and speaking of discrimination now, I think our culture, when it comes to jitna bhi humne is waqt progress ki hai with neuroatypical children, I feel like it's so tokenized. And I'm speaking like it's so tokenized, and I'm speaking from like a person who was exposed to the bare minimum of that work. Like, like equality नहीं है, equity तो भूल ही जाओ. Equality, yeah, वो तो बहुत दूर की बात है. Like equality, like understanding me, and like can you reflect on like how you deal with that tokenistic mindset, and it's fine.
And that is what is not letting the schools be truly inclusive.
Yeah.
Because they understand somewhere, they understand equality, but they do not understand equity. And that is what is not letting them be a proper inclusive school. Because inclusion means equity, not equality.
Yeah.
Because if equality means, for instance, my son is, if he is now ready for, according to his age, and a neurotypical child, if he is ready to go into third standard, for instance, and the school allows him to sit in third standard and study with what the other children are studying, equality, but it's not going to work for my child.
Yeah, it's not.
They need to design a curriculum which is going to be appropriate for the child sitting with his age range. That is equity. That is what they need to understand, that the child is going to have a different way of understanding the concept or different way of learning. Maybe he won't be able to write. For instance, if my son, he has very weak fine motor skills, like holding a pen, things like that. So his grip is not strong. So he's not able to write, and writing makes him frustrated. So instead, I am now switching him towards typing. That one, I understand. If he is now typing, that will be able to help him communicate, write, and all of that. And now I'm working for that. Varna ye hota ki I would have asked, what all your children in the class are now, writing, you need to write too. So that is not the way it should be. An inclusive education, inclusive setting is not about equality. This is what is very important to understand.
I feel like the previous example you gave a couple of minutes ago, because when we talk about equality, that brings up the point, like if that kid had a fidget spinner, you also give every kid a fidget spinner. No, you don't.
No, yeah, exactly.
You don't. You accommodate people according to their needs, and I think that also creates a concept which our society is lost on: empathy.
They don't even understand what that means.
Yeah, they don't.
Sympathy karna aata hai, wo bhi thoda bahut.
From a victim standpoint. Standpoint.
The way I said that they want to make me feel bad, wala sympathy.
Yeah.
Empathy nahi. बहुत कम लोगों ने मुझसे पूछा इसलिए because they understand, they want to understand my position. No.
Yeah.
Mostly because they want to look down upon the situation I am.
Especially when we were discussing the series, Taluqaat, the reasoning why it was so important for us to talk about, neuro-inclusivity as a standpoint, because this is something we don't talk about. Or agar hum baat karte hain, to it's a very like, it's not mentioned that much. Like, hum nahi jana chahte, hum nahi pata and all that. And I think this conversation was really important in that aspect.
Of course, absolutely. Like, even for instance, why is it important? Like, when I was expecting, and nobody told me about that, there is a chance I can have a special child.
Yeah.
There's a chance I can have a neurodiverse, बल्कि मुझे तो बोला जाता था कि दुआ करो अल्लाह मियाँ जिस्मानी ज़हनी सेहत के साथ लड़का दे लड़की दे हर लिहाज से पूरा हो all that दुआ क्योंकि हमें तो because our media our awareness campaigns all the I think doesn't shed the bright light on this concept. They always shed like the bad light. It's a bad thing. And because of that, people think because I only have one child, they believe that I'm not having more because I am scared that I might get another. And to be honest, that's not true. I am actually ready now. I hope okay, instead of a special child getting to a parent who are not ready to understand, I should get one. I'm ready. That's not the thing. And people don't understand this. Okay, that I want to have a special child because they're lovely.
Yeah.
They're lovely. And they're amazing. This is what I said, that we are raised to have a child with a manual जो कि हमारे पुश्ताए दादा दादी नाम मामा मामी करते आए हैं.
Yeah.
हमारा अपना एक्सपेरिमेंट करने का कोई हक नहीं है.
Not even just that. I feel like we're conditioned to have a kid that needs to perform.
I agree that word perform.
Yeah.
Not to live, not to survive, not to have an independent skill, but to perform.
Yeah, I mean, like I said previously, like I'm 100% sure people will be perfectly fine with any kind of problem on earth. Just that person just performs, and that even is that even is such a huge aspect in mental health. Like can you perform? Your drug addiction is perfectly fine. Can you perform? Your detachment from reality is perfectly fine. Can you perform? Yeah, and that's such a big ask. Such a big ask. It's not a reasonable ask.
And can you imagine, me being a parent who can talk, who can understand, who can walk around, who have all the coordination movements that I can utilize, I can drive, I can go and I can earn. It's about the child who's not able to do this in a जो एक milestone की है in the normal pace. They have their own pace. We need to focus on that. They are the one who are having a very hard time. It's not us, it's them. This is what I want to tell the parents. Don't make it about yourself. It's about your child. Don't do that to him or her.
And I see it because we follow each other on Instagram, and I see it whenever you post pictures about your son and yourself. I think I see something in him that I haven't seen in most neuroatypical children. That the confidence, that I can see his confidence, and B, the joy of existing.
Yeah.
And I see that in both of you. And
I've learned from him. I never knew that in an empty room, there's nothing. We still can survive and be happy. That is what he has taught me. And that is what true happiness and joy means, what looks like. And we don't, to be honest, till him, when he was around 4 and 5, I never knew what joy means. I never knew what happiness means. I thought happiness is when others are happy too.
Yeah.
Not me. I am happy, but others are not happy. That's not happiness.
Yeah.
How dare I make myself happy by putting everybody else down? If they are happy and I'm not happy, that's true happiness. And he taught me, no, Mom, you're on the wrong track. Absolutely, change that. And that is what I've learned, that, oh my goodness, what was I doing? I was living my life completely in the wrong manner.
Oh, yeah.
With the wrong principles.
Yeah, and speaking of that, if everyone wants to experience, the joy of existence that I see from your Insta, please tell me, how can they reach you?
If they can, I have a Facebook page. I have an Instagram page called team_neurodiversity, because there's so many now that whenever I tell them that now there's so many with dash and dot. So I keep telling them it's team underscore neurodiversity with the flower, pink flower. And that is what where they can message me, they can inbox me, and then I will get back to them as soon as possible.
I think the reasoning behind Safe Space collaborated with Sukhan on this initiative is because we want to create a community. I think it's time we create a community for us, for people like us, for people who are in the realm of psychology, because don't you feel like that's also such an isolating profession in itself? Like,
No, I remember when you called me and told me about it, I was so drawn to it that I have to be part of it. This is going to be amazing for me.
yeah,
I would love to have a community that is having the same struggles, are facing the same issues, being in this culture. And, I think this feeling when we have that we are not alone is the best feeling ever.
yeah,
And hope, and being feeling isolated and hopeless is the worst. So I think making these community and building up this initiative is going to help so much, especially me. So I can't even imagine how much it will help who are new in this field and who are now thinking about to go into this field. This is really going to help them.
yeah, and also like this will also bring the conversation of being ethical and holding each other accountable. Because, in your experience, when you were, as we like to call it, shopping for your son's, needs, you must have met a lot of people that you were just like, what's going on over here? Like, how are you?
But other people, sorry,
Like, sorry, when you were shopping for your son for, their therapist or their testing of their needs, did you must have met people that you, in your mind, you're questioning, how are you here? How do I know?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's strange whenever I meet someone and then they don't know someone that I know. It's like such a small world, and we do cross our paths do cross each other, and it's strange that sometimes I keep bumping into people who I would have never imagined that I would, and yeah, that's true.
Well, Tooba, I would like to thank you for being part of this episode and sharing your perspective, your relationship perspective with me and with the audience that will be watching this. Thank you
Well,
so
thank you
much.
for having me, and I'm so happy that this is a great initiative. And let me know if I can be a part of it in the future. I would love to be.
Oh, we will definitely be collaborating further with you 100%.
Perfect. Would love to.
Thank you.